Hello everyone, it's Jayma here and I have a double page layout for you documenting this fun that my son had jumping in the leaves just pretty recently. He was all smiles. You can see there he has the biggest smile on his face. This was totally impromptu, but we had so much fun, so I wanted to document it. So I am pulling in this sketch from the creative design team. I think it's our volume 2 12 by 12 sketchbook. It is my favorite sketch because you can fit so many photos on it. And I'm actually not even fitting all the photos that it will fit, but I am going to put 10 photos on this layout. I am diving into this Autumn to Remember paper pack again. If you saw my last video, I did a one-page layout using this kit. And now I'm going to do a 2-page layout and I'm going to do a similar leaf treatment. These leaves that I'm going to make are so pretty. And I am also going to use that gray wood grain pattern that I wanted to use in the last layout, but it didn't quite match. But my son is wearing a gray shirt, so it's going to work perfectly. And also, if you caught that video, you may remember that I cut that brown tree paper going the wrong way. So I'm using the piece that I cut the wrong way and it will work perfectly for this layout. So that's pretty awesome. So now I need to select the paper that's going to go across the middle. That's what my photos are going to be sitting on. Well, most of them are going to be sitting on that. So I want to make sure it's something that the photos are going to stand out against. And I do like that green pattern, but I want to bring in some cardstock too. This is the same color cardstock. It's just solid. So, it kind of reads darker and I think the photos kind of stand out a little bit more on it, but I am going to matte them as well. So I am going to lay my photos across both papers to see what I like better. And you can see I have a lot more photos here than will fit going across. So the sketch calls for some landscape orientation photos that go above and below the strips. And I'm going to end up cutting some of these because I only have portrait style or portrait orientation. So I'm going to cut some of them down to squares. At this point, I'm thinking that I'm only going to have the 6 spots going across and use more flip-flops, but I end up filling in some spots because I felt like there was too much blank space. So I did end up going with the cardstock, as you can see here, but I'm going to pull in that patterned paper here in the strip that goes next to that dark brown piece. So I like having both of the greens there. And then that copper metallic piece that I tried first, I didn't like it right next to the brown, but I really liked having that copper, and I'm going to add some copper leaves as well. So I cut a skinnier strip to go next to the green strip. So the sketch calls for just 1 strip, but I use 2. So, feel free to change up sketches. You don't have to follow them exactly. I love, taking them as a jumping off point and then running with them and making them fit my photos and my style and my paper and all of that stuff. So I am going to do the same treatment to my leaves that I did in my last video. And I'm just going to show you one of them since I did show it in the last video. It's so easy to do and really makes a statement. So I wanted to have all of the vibrant fall colors, especially since my papers don't have a lot of those fall colors. I really wanted to bring those in the leaves. So I'm starting out with Cherry Cobbler, which is a deep red. If you have Close to My Heart ink, you'd want to use probably Scarlet. And then I've got Paprika ink from Close to My Heart, only because I don't have the color in Stampin' Up, which would be Cajun Craze. And then the yellow I'm using is Sundance from Close to My Heart, which would be Crushed Curry in Stampin' Up. So, the Crushed Curry and Sundance are very similar, and then the Paprika and Cajun Craze are very similar if you don't have all the Stampin' Up ink colors like I don't. So I do really, really like them and want to invest in them all eventually, but can't do it all at once, right? I'm sure you guys can relate. And there's so many other fun things to buy, right? So I started with the dark red at the base, then moved to the paprika, and now the yellow I'm doing on the very tips. And then I'm also going over all of the other areas because I feel like the yellow just kind of helps to brighten everything up. And I'm going to do each each leaf just a little bit differently. Some of them are going to have more red, some of them will be more orange, some of them more yellow, so that we have a variety of the fall leaves. So let me pull this up so you can see it closer. It's so pretty. I forgot to pull in the set that this came from, the Changing Leaves embossing folder, dies, and stamps. It's so pretty, and I showed it in my last video, but I'll show you the leaves that I made right here. As you can see, all of them are just a little bit different. Some of them have more yellow at the tips and not as much red. So there are 3 different leaves in the set, or at least 3 different dies that cut out the embossed leaves from the embossing folder. And so I'm putting one of each of the leaves in each of my 3 clusters, and they're all very different. I like this big one here that I actually showed the ink blending on the best, but the other ones work nicely with it. You just have to kind of arrange them in a way that looks good. I like that big leaf kind of hanging over that one photo and just kind of getting them to where I like them. I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to put another cluster down here on the bottom. This is the second point of my visual triangle, and I need to remember not to cover too much of that photo that's in the middle there, because there's going to be a flip flap on that photo. I'm going to cover just a little bit of it, because if the photo on top is covering it, it's not a big deal. I just don't want a lot of it covered. And then over here, I'm doing 3 more, and those leaves are more yellow because that color stands out a little bit better on top of the dark brown. So I was considering switching it with that one on the bottom, but then that one had too much dark at the top. So here I just darkened up the red a little bit more, but I kept it pretty yellow on the tips because I want it to stand out against that dark brown. I'm going to beef up these clusters a little bit more, but I want to get my title in place first, just to make sure I have enough space for it so I know what it is. And I decided to spell jump in. I'm at a retreat here, so I don't have all of my stuff, but I did like this wood grain like sticker pack that I had, and I had enough letters to spell that. Now, I felt like the top and bottom of the right page were just a little bit bare, so I pulled in this die set here. I think it's called Nested Essentials. I will link everything down below that's available. And I decided to make a little banner across the top there, and I brought in just a little bit of that Cajun Craze paper. That's the back of the green patterned paper, and I like how that fills that space up there. And then my journaling is going to go in strips across the bottom, so that will fill that space. Now, these die cuts are also from the Changing Leaves die set. I really like how they're more dainty and like line art looking, versus those bigger leaves are more solid, and they just work so well together. I did this in my last video as well, and I really loved the look of it, so I wanted to do it again. That copper metallic paper just really makes a statement. So the story behind these photos is my son came with me to take our dog to the dog park. He's my little dog park buddy. He loves to come with me, and he throws the ball for Coda, and he's just such a good little helper. And he had been wanting to jump in fall leaves. My husband was actually raking up the leaves at home, and he said, I want to jump in the leaves, but then we were going to the dog park, so then we went to the dog park. Well, he spotted a big pile of leaves right next to the dog park. So when we were done, he's like, can we go and jump on the leaves? And so of course I said yeah. And so he was just having the time of his life, jumping and throwing the leaves up in the air, and just had the biggest smile on his face. And I just really wanted to scrapbook this and, document this moment, because he was just pure happiness. It was so fun to watch as a mom, him having so much fun. And something so simple as jumping in leaves, right? It's just, these little moments are the ones that we remember. And so I definitely wanted to scrapbook this. There are several word stickers on this sticker sheet that worked really well with these photos, and so I wanted to make all of them work because I'm not sure if I'm going to do another fall layout before next year. So wanted to make all of them work that I could. And but I also didn't want it to compete with my journaling, because I knew I was going to do strip journaling down in that bottom right area. But I think it's going to work out okay, because the journaling is going to be on white strips and they're going to be longer and go down further. So, but I just want to, keep that in mind. And I want to put this one, I think that's going to look good up there. I wanted them staggered. I didn't want that sticker on the left at the same height as the ones on the right, so I put it up a little bit higher. And I'm going to put a little bit of thin 3D foam tape behind these ones over here, just because they're hanging off the edge of that photo quite a bit, and that photo is double matted, so I wanted to make sure that they were lifted up accordingly. So at this point, I'm thinking I might be done with this layout, but then I came home from my retreat and decided that I wanted to add a little bit more to my leaf clusters. So these are little mesh leaves. I forget what they're called, but again, it will be linked down below, and they're kind of like this goldish color mesh, and I wanted to put a couple of those in each of my leaf clusters. I did that also in my last layout, but I forgot to point it out, and it just adds a really nice texture that's different from the paper, and I just really like the look of it. So I'll pull it up closer for you in just a moment. But if you've enjoyed this video so far, then be sure to hit that like button so YouTube knows that you're enjoying it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then please do so. I post scrapbooking videos every week to inspire you. So there is a close-up look at those leaves. They are so pretty. Again, they're very simple to do, and I hope that you'll try them out with this Changing Leaves bundle. And if you have one fall set, I really think that this is the one you need. It's such a great set for, easily embellishing your pages or cards. Now I just need to attach the flip flap. There is adhesive under that paper, and it will attach directly onto my page protector once I get my pages inside. Stampin' Up will be carrying the flip flaps in the next few months, so that's exciting. If you missed my other Changing Leaves layout, then you can watch that right here. Click the video on screen and I'll meet you over there. Bye!